Good morning, class. Today we will be discussing on agency, instrument, and technique of state interactions under the course title Post 215. This is study section 5, just as a reminder. Today I will try as much as possible to move at a pace whereby before the Christmas we will have covered more than half of the course as scheduled in your study materials. So today, as I said earlier, we are looking at the agency. We are looking at the agency, instruments, and techniques of state interactions. The first concept we first consider is agency. What do you understand by agency? Just as the word implies, in a literary terms, agency means an individual or body acting on behalf of another person or organization to carry out a particular function on each or behalf. So, but when it comes to state interaction, agency is more broader than just a body or individual acting on behalf of another person, in the sense that this particularly concerns state interaction, the interaction between two or more states. So the agency on the basis of state interactions is regarded as body, the bodies or institutions through which states or independent states, in the process of carrying out their function, interact with one another. So what do I mean? Agency international system means some bodies or institutions that independent states are established in the process of carrying out their function, interacting with one another. So by that, it means most of the time, because of the complex natures of the global system, it is difficult for the state to be everywhere at the same time. It is difficult for the president of Nigeria to be in Britain at the same time in Canada, same time in US, without making use of some agency that actually carry out some activities on his behalf. So we have different categories of this agency that help state to carry out its functions in its interaction with another state. The first one is individual agency. They are agency that has been manned or that has been represented by an individual person, but that person must be an appointee of his or her respective state. So you can talk about diplomats, like ambassador. That's why we have Nigerian ambassador in Canada, Nigerian ambassador in United States of America, Nigerian ambassador in Hungary, Nigerian ambassador in Belgium. Those ambassadors, they are individual agency of their respective state. The Nigerian ambassador to United Kingdom, for instance, is an individual agent. Is an agent representing or carrying out some function on behalf of Nigerian government in United Kingdom. Is an agent being appointed, being designated by Nigerian government to do to carry out that function. So in essence, the individual agents are represented by individualities, by personality, which could be an ambassador, some diplomat, it could be minister of foreign affairs, and even some other ministers can be designated to act or to carry out certain functions with their counterparts in other states on behalf of his or her government. We also have group of individuals. They are agents that are group of individuals. Like we have cultural dancing group. We have a sports team, like football team. All the football team, the basketball team that represent Nigeria in international fora, or let's say in African Cup of Nations or World Cup or even Olympic, all these athletes that represent Nigeria, they are also agents of the government because they are not actually doing that thing for themselves. They are carrying out those sporting activities on behalf of the government that designated them to do so. The dancing group, those are part of group of individual agency of the state interactions. So then we move on to talk about intelligence organizations. We also have some agents that purely perform intelligence functions. It could be security, military, or other discrete duties that are related to safety and security on behalf of their government. So we have CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, that we have in the United States. We have Israeli Mossad. We also have British SAIA. SAIA, they are highly intelligent body. Some of them engage in discrete rescue mission. Now we have US SEAL, Russia Alpha Group. All these bodies, they are highly trained groups of intelligent people that are designated by their respective government to carry out discrete intelligence security duties. Like the US SEAL, they are the one that America used to execute Osama bin Laden, to capture and eventually kill him. So we also have international organizations as an agency that help that foster the interaction of states. So we have United Nations. United Nations, don't forget, is an umbrella body of the whole world, of all the independent states in the whole world. So it's an agency of the state interaction because they have a structure that mediate, that coordinate, that unite the different states across the world together through different activities. We also have in Africa, we have Organization of African Union, OAU. This body is primarily focused on African affairs, the independent states within Africa as a region. They coordinate their affairs, they regulate, they mediate, they also resolve conflict. We have ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. This is a body or agency that is dealing with economic interaction within the sub-region of African continent. It's dealing with West African economic issues. We have European Union and so on and so forth. We also have military units as an agent of state interactions. Like in the past, we used to have NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. We have Warsaw Pact, WTO, Warsaw Treaty Organization. We have ECOMOG in West Africa. Those are the military units that either protect their member state or intervene in a conflict situations to bring normalcy in place. So we have international law. International law also stands as an agent of state interaction. You know, there are laws that have been commonly agreed to by a group of independent states, either on a global level, regional level, or subregional level. Those laws might have to do with human rights. That's why we have international human rights law. We have law that regulate activity on the sea, on the air. Even we have law that also regulate the war situation. So all those laws are also part of the agent through which states regulate their interaction in dealing with one another. Then we move on to we've just discussed the agent of state interaction. We now want to discuss about the instrument of state interactions. Instruments, just like the word connote. The tools being used by states to foster their interactions with another state. So we have economic instrument. An economic instrument is basically divided into two. International trade and foreign economic aid. International trade, that's why we will say free trade zone. We have different arrangements being put in place. World Trade Center, all those bodies, they are being set, they are being established by a group of states to foster state economic interaction among themselves, like ECOWAS. So the other way, in the other hand, we also have foreign economic aid. You know what we mean by aid? The assistance that could come from highly developed country of the world, economically developed country of the world, either to the poorest country or a country in crisis. It could be economic crisis, health crisis, war crisis, and so on and so forth. All this aid could come in form of a relief. Economic aid is a form of relief. So, in a way, the economic instrument can either be used to reward or to compensate a country being perceived as a friendly nation to the country that is giving the aid, or it could also be used to punish a perceived enemy or a state that is being perceived as enemy to the state that has the potential or the wherewithal to give. You also have political instruments, which we can simply term as diplomacy, because political instrument, more often than not, is always have to do with peaceful means through which states can interact with one another and foster unity, development, and peaceful coexistence. So the political instrument is always come into existence, more often than not, through the creation of embassy, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's why for Nigeria to have a cordial relationship with some other independent states across the world, like UK, like US, like Canada, like France, they also try to set up an embassy in those countries. The ambassador, the Nigerian ambassador, who is the head of all the diplomats in Nigerian embassy, let's say in the United States or France, try to mediate between Nigerian government and France government or American government to foster the relationship between the two countries. He also try to collate information, vital information that could help their country to plan their policy in interacting or relating with that particular country. We also have socio-cultural instruments. Socio-cultural instruments. Like we discussed earlier, this socio-cultural instrument could be in form of sporting activity. Like we discussed about Olympic, World Cup, where those fora bring athletes across the world together. This kind of situation foster cooperations, understanding, unity, and also help each country to showcase their talent, to sell themselves to the rest of the world. Cultural dancing group and so on. We also have psychological instruments. This is also very key instrument, but more often than not, as I've always used, this propaganda has been extensively used by highly developed countries of the world. Those countries that are technologically developed, economically developed, militarily developed, I mean, the highly industrialized country have been able to make use of this instrument called propaganda. Like some of us, as we are in Nigeria now, we believe that if America military want to attack Boko Haram and crush all their hideout in Nigeria, the propaganda will make this propaganda as an instrument will make us to believe that the US military don't even need to come to Nigeria to do that. That they can launch attack through different highly developed monitoring technologies, devices, and sophisticated nuclear weapon that they can launch it from US and to hit their various designation or camp in Nigeria, which it might not really be so. It might not really be so in the sense that propaganda is to brainwash, to create a larger than life impression of its user. And the reason why some of us now, particularly in Africa, we want to, even while we are in Africa, we want to pretend to live like Americans. We want to live like a Londoners while we are still in Nigeria. We want to dress like them, want to speak like them, we want to behave like them, you want to socialize like them. It is because they have made us to believe that that is the way of life. Their socialization is the best. And they have succeeded in brainwashing us to believe so. So, propaganda is not a child play. It's not an instrument that is available for the weak or weaker countries of the world. We also have military instruments. Military instruments have different types. It could be an espionage, spying. I hope you understand the meaning of spying. Sometimes military intelligence of one state can send a spy on another state military setup to give a feedback on how they can either attack or understand their plans in the other hand. We have guerrilla warfare is part of military instruments. We also have military aid and assistance. And all these instruments could either be used to support, to reward, or to punish a perceived enemy. Let us move on. We now want to talk about the technique of state interaction. In a simple term, technique is the way states uses their instrument to carry out their objectives or their goal in interacting with another state. Is the way in which states use all the instruments we mentioned earlier to achieve their goal in interacting with another state. And these instruments also have different categories. We have peaceful negotiation. The reason why United Nations was established, why OAU was established, why EU was established, is to foster peaceful negotiations. That even when a state is aggrieved or is not pleased with the conduct of another state, instead of engaging in confrontation or threat of violence or war, they will need to go to that umbrella body to discuss their differences and to find a way of negotiating through that differences to achieve peace. That's one of the instruments. In fact, it's the most celebrated among all the instruments of the state interaction, especially in the contemporary global politics. We also have signing of treaty agreements, either to promote trade relations or to end war or to effect military aid. You agree that this treaty the treaty we are talking about, it could be between two states. Maybe they have issues relating with their border demarcations, which is creating a lot of crisis among themselves. They can then reach an agreement within themselves that let us settle this amicably. So portion, let it be your own, so portion be my own. Then they will now sign a treaty agreement to foreclose future escalation of crisis or violence between themselves. It could even be treaty among or between two or more states, among various states, independent states, either to end war. Don't forget, when we are discussing the issues of armed proliferations and nuclear weapon discovery and inventions, we say it got to a point where the world leader realized that if they did not do something to curtail the high level of accumulations and proliferation and production of weapon of mass destruction, it can actually put the world on the brink of another war. So they started signing the disarmament treaty among themselves to reduce the stockpiling, the productions, and the invention of new one. So it's also a signing of treaty agreement is also a key technique through which states interact. We also have threat or use of force. Threat or use of force. I will try to remind you of two scenarios where threat actually or use of force actually involved. If you can remember, between United States of America and Iran, there was a point in time where the two countries were actually threatening each other. That if you do A, I'm going to do B. If you do this, I'm going to do that. The threat continued until Donald Trump ordered an attack on the military head of the Iran, which led to his death. Another scenario was between US and North Korea, between Trump and Kim Jong, where the two countries engaged in threat of violence. I'm going to bomb this, I'm going to bomb that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to destroy that. It continued like that. This technique is actually country embark on using the threat of use of force to register their dominance, to force the other party to concede to their demand, to handcuff the hand of the other state in negotiation, to force their opinion on the other state. And the last technique is actual use of force or war. The actual use of which is always the last option when it comes to technique of state interaction, because the cost of executing war in terms of human resources, natural resources, and so on and so forth is enormous, is huge, is a huge burden on the country that is waging the war and on the country that they are waging the war against. That is why it is until all other techniques have failed and there's no hope of alternative technique, that is when the state now rely on the last option, which is actual use of force or war. And this also happened. This happened between United States of America and Libya. Between United States of America and Iraq, when Saddam Hussein was eventually alleged for stockpiling weapons of mass destructions, which led the United States single-handedly, without complying to the directive of IAEA, the body in charge of atomic bomb and all that, and the directive of Security Council. The US went alone to attack Iraq and kill the president, Saddam Hussein, in that war, which it was later found out that it was sheer misinformations about Saddam Hussein. There was no stockpiling of weapons of mass destruction anywhere. So I'll stop here. Then when we meet again, we proceed on study section 6. Thank you and have a nice day.